something that has not happened before in American history.
The FBI executing a search warrant at former President Donald Trump's Mar-A-Lago resort.
President Biden's Justice Department raided former President Trump's Mar-A-Lago home.
The FBI executed a search warrant at former President Trump's home at his Mar-A-Lago resort yesterday morning.
The FBI executed a search warrant at former President Trump's Mar-A-Lago home.
So nothing really consequential or important happened yesterday. Kind of a slow news day today. Oh, wait! You just heard there, the FBI raided former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home for the 5th time now. What is happening? All of the facts as we know it, but also some commentary that you probably haven't seen anywhere else, not from me, but from the lefty news outlets that you don't watch. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That isn't actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the Turning Point USA headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is, what is it? August 9th, the year of our Lord 2022, the day after the feds invaded or raided President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. What is going on with that? Obviously, you've heard the news so far. Kind of want to break down, 1, what's happening, 2, the GOP's response, and 3, how the lefty media that you probably don't watch, the CNNs, the MSNBCs of the world, responded to that. I want to get into first a couple clips explaining what is going on and what's happening. Let's see. This is from Axios. This is like a simple explainer of what the heck is going on. Obviously, you've heard the president's home was raided, but here's what happened. Hours after the Federal Bureau of Investigation searched former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, his supporters started gathering outside, yada, 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 why it matters. Trump and the American right mobilized the raid as a symbol of government overreach and political persecution, which it seems to be, maybe, unless, of course, there is sufficient reason for the FBI to do so. As of right now, and this is unfolding literally second by second, as of right now, I don't have and we don't have any reason that the FBI should have raided President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. There's also, stay tuned, there are some really, really interesting, I don't want to say necessarily supporters, but people backing President Trump that you're going to be like, wait, him of all people? The FBI and the Justice Department said they have nothing official about what happened. Republicans, this is again from Axios, by the way, just kind of reporting what is happening, moved to portray the raid as President Biden trying to hurt a presidential potential 2024 opponent. President Biden is not going to have a 2024 opponent because he will not be running for election in 2024. But that's just me. The National Review said this: the idea that law enforcement organizations under a sitting president would raid the home of his predecessor, opponent in the previous election, and potential opponent in the next election has no close parallel in American history. You saw the Good Morning America clip right when beginning there, saying that this is the first time that's happened ever. So I want to get to some of the clips playing from around the media sphere and the internet to kind of explain what the heck is happening. And also calls from all sides of the political spectrum for the FBI to explain itself. Check this out. I believe this first clip is from George Stephanopoulos. Watch this.
Our chief.
Yes, it is. Okay, so this is George Stephanopoulos. I just wanted to make sure. If you haven't already, before we play this clip, there's a couple thousand you watching this right now. This is super big, super important. Everybody's going to be talking about it. You should be informed and have your friends informed as well. Click the little like button, the little share button, or let us know what you think in the comment section. Really, really does help us out with the algorithms and all that sort of stuff. So really, really appreciate you doing that, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. So just click the little reaction button. Maybe this makes you extremely angry. Who knows? And we'll get this thing rolling. Well, check this out from Good Morning America on ABC.
Legal analyst Dan Abrams. First, you got to kind of take a breath
FBI raid on the home of a former president. Let's walk everyone through the process so they understand what would have to happen for that FBI search to take place.
Right. First thing is they have to go to a judge, right? They have to be able to prove that there's probable cause that a crime was committed and that there could be evidence at this specific home. They have to be specific in the warrant. Judge has to then sign off on that. But even before that happened.
Well, that's what I wanted to do.
Even before that happened, you have got to believe that the highest levels of the Justice Department signed off on it.
Okay, so check this out. Just interject really quick here. This is George Stephanopoulos. George Stephanopoulos did run President Bill Clinton's campaign in '92, and clearly has a political bias, but at the same time is trying to be fair about this, I believe, in the analysis that they're giving here. Bottom line is the FBI invaded President Trump's home, and they're saying that they had to get a warrant from a judge, and the judge had to sign off on it. We might later get to who that judge is, because I think that also is kind of important. But right here, they're going to talk about who knew about this raid before the raid took place. Watch this clip, and we'll discuss on the other side.
Says they didn't know about it, but clearly Christopher Wray, the FBI director, would have known.
No doubt Christopher Wray knew about it.
I guess the open question would be, did Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, know about it, or his deputy, Lisa Monaco?
I've got to believe that Merrick Garland knew about this. You have to. I mean, when you're talking about going to the former president of the United States home, the implications are so significant that you have to believe that Merrick Garland knew about it, and specifically that they wouldn't tell the President of the United States about it. I mean, it's for the same reason that Merrick Garland needs to know about it, is the reason that I think they want to make sure that the President doesn't know about it and isn't involved.
Okay, so that's some interesting analysis there. I don't necessarily disagree, but I also have no idea, because a lot of us have no idea. The FBI has not yet said, sorry. I don't think they've officially said. Reporters have uncovered why it is they believe that the FBI raided the president's home in Mar-A-Lago. It is to obtain supposedly documents that were taken from the White House that are classified, that were being stored at Mar-A-Lago. Actually, yeah, that's what it is. So to get into this next clip, which is kind of interesting. Backtrack here. Let's talk about the one clip that we just played on George Stephanopoulos. Him saying that the same reason that Merrick Garland had to know is probably the same reason that Joe Biden didn't know. Now, again, I don't know, but I believe them to be acting in good faith, because Merrick Garland knowing about it is just as huge of a problem as if Joe Biden knew about it. So the question that's going to have to unfold organically is who knew about it and when. That legal analyst, I believe, is Dan Abrams. I forget the guy's name. I'm sorry, dude. Christopher Wray, the FBI director, and Merrick Garland had to know. It's up in the air whether or not the White House knew. The White House immediately is saying, whoa, we had no idea about this, because the political backfire would be huge. Now, remember, Merrick Garland being the Attorney General, Joe Biden appointed Merrick Garland, so regardless of whether or not Joe Biden and the White House did know, they did appoint the people that do know, they didn't appoint Christopher Wray, but kept Christopher Wray on board as the FBI director, and Merrick Garland the Attorney General. Here's a little bit from CNN, of all places, about why they believe they raided the Trump Mar-a-Lago home. Check this out.
What we know based on our sources is that in early June of this year, there was a meeting that occurred at Mar-a-Lago between attorneys representing former President Donald Trump and agents there looking to see if there was classified information being stored on the property. And it's this meeting that sort of precipitated the search that was executed at Donald Trump's residence in Palm Beach yesterday. We were told from sources who were present for the meeting that at the time, attorneys for Donald Trump shared documents, turned them over, and showed them that there were in fact documents being held at Mar-a-Lago that had classified markings on them. The agents who were present then asked to see where these documents were being stored. They were taken to a basement room on the property, we're told, and just days after that meeting occurred, they were sent a letter asking them to create a more secure location for these documents to be held at Trump's property. And we're told that aides to the former president actually then put a padlock on the room where these documents were stored in order to comply with that letter asking for them to be kept in a more secure location. Now, that occurred.
All right, so that's enough of that. We don't need to go entirely into all of that. But basically what she's saying is that there was a meeting that took place in Mar-a-Lago, and in that meeting, some people found out that Donald Trump had classified documents on his Mar-a-Lago property. Now, officially, I guess, and this is what people are saying, and by the way, to know that I'm aware that a lot of people are very, very upset. Pissed was trending on Twitter with like 450,000 tweets, a bunch of people saying, I'm furious about this. I understand that, and I want to be respectful of people's feelings who are feeling very, very angry and very upset. But at the same time, we have to be able to understand all sides of the argument in order to participate in the conversation effectively if, in fact, this does turn out to be some big hocus-pocus, non-garbage search warrant. So, yeah, that being said, I understand the people are upset, but at the same time, I do want to present all of the information from as many of the sides that you probably don't necessarily watch, being CNN, on what the left side of the aisle, the media specifically, is using to justify this. Now, I want to bring up a couple things here. Dave Smith, who is a comedian and staunch libertarian, tweeted this yesterday. They better have something big on Trump, because if not, they just made a living martyr and a pissed off one. Jeff Ingersoll, the editor-in-chief of the Daily Caller, said the White House right now is issuing aggressive denials of knowledge of the Trump raid to CNN. Basically, what we said at the very first clip was that the White House is claiming that they don't know about it. Now, that could be true. It may not. I'm sure we'll all find out eventually together. They also so Jeff also pointed out that they also denied about knowing of Hunter's overseas business dealings. So there's that. How much of their denial is actually believable? Mike Pompeo tweeted this, former Secretary of State: executing a warrant against ex-POTUS is dangerous. The apparent political weaponization of the DOJ/FBI is shameful. Attorney General must explain why 250 years of practice was upended with this raid. I served on the Benghazi Commission, and we proved that Hillary Clinton was in possession of classified info. We didn't raid her home. So that's all this is. Okay, so just so you're clear and aware, the left side of the argument, the left side of the aisle, the Democrats in Congress and in the Senate will be making the case of, well, he had classified documents. I'm going to play the most boring man to ever grace the TV screen as a part of a panel on CNN talking about this. Actually, you know what? We'll play that right now. We're going to play the most boring individual to ever be on a CNN screen or a television screen in general, and don't tune out by, I'm not trying to get people to tune out by saying this is the most boring guy. He just happens to be the most boring guy. But he's making an argument that Mike Pompeo refuted in that tweet. Watch this and we'll discuss what's wrong with this side of the aisles, the media's lens on this particular issue, and reasoning why it's justified to raid President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. Check it out.
Contain those documents.
All right, Norm Eisen, the reporting from Caitlin here that this raid, this FBI operation, is in relation to the handling of presidential documents, including possibly classified documents. Why might that merit an FBI operation like this at the home of a former president?
Well, John, in America, nobody is above the law. And the federal laws are very clear that anybody who removes, mutilates, or destroys records, it's 18 U.S.C. 2071, is subject to penalties, including criminal penalties. There's even more strict rules for classified documents being removed from official premises because of the damage that can do to national security.
Okay, so the question being posed is, were there classified documents? And if there were, how bad is that? like Mike Pompeo said in his tweet, they had proof that Hillary Clinton had classified documents on her premises, and the FBI did not raid her home. Probably because, as this guy, again, the most boring man to ever be on a television screen in the history of the universe, said that, well, classified documents could cause terrible damage to the country. Guess what? So can the political implications in, I'm not going to get the year right. The election that Nixon lost to Kennedy, Nixon knew that Kennedy had stolen Chicago and knew the election probably was not fair in the sense of it was a free and fair election. He did not, however, decide to pursue that because he knew the damage it would do to the country. It would tear the country entirely apart. And Nixon, to his credit, decided not to fight against it. I know some of you are probably drawing some parallels with now. Today is a different thing entirely, and we're not going to get into that. Basically, what I'm saying is the political ramifications of seeking 15 boxes of classified information doesn't seem to be worth it unless there's some huge smoking gun, as many people have stated before. Amber Athey, friend of the show and former Daily Caller colleague, said a violation of Presidential Records Act bars someone from running for political office again. The LA Times reported this back in February when Trump returned 15 boxes of documents to the archives. Is this, and let me know in the comment section what you think, is this a ploy to try to get President Trump removed from contention for running again in 2024? Who knows? The whole point of this episode, too, by the way, is just trying to give you as much information as possible and letting you saying, we don't really know enough yet. This is not a hammering, this is totally inappropriate, because on its face, it kind of looks inappropriate, but the FBI does have a chance to say, hey, this is why we did it. And if there is crazy damning information, I would like to see it, and I'm sure the American people would like to see it. But if not, and this turns into a political story entirely, it's not going to play well for Dems at all. Now, how will the GOP respond? Kevin McCarthy tweeted or put out a statement pretty much immediately after. This is from Fox and Friends. This is Congressman Stubbe, speaking not on behalf of Kevin McCarthy, but in response to Kevin McCarthy's tweets, how the GOP will respond. Check out this clip. Watch this.
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy saying, quote, when Republicans take back the House, we will conduct immediate oversight of this department, follow the facts, and leave no stone unturned. Attorney General Garland, preserve your documents and clear your calendar.
Florida Congressman Greg Steube sits on the House Judiciary Committee, and he joins us now. Congressman, we just heard Kevin McCarthy's comment there. What are you going to do in Congress? How ugly is it going to get for Merrick Garland, for Christopher Wray, for the rest of the senior leaders at the top of the DOJ and FBI when Republicans take control of Congress and you force them to answer for this?
Well, yeah, clear your calendar is right, because we're going to bring you in, and not just the whole 5-minute testimony thing. We're going to bring you in and depose you and do document requests and record requests on all.
You know what? This is not super compelling. I did watch this clip earlier, and I'm feeling like this is. Bottom line is here, Kevin McCarthy, the minority leader in the House, said that, hey, when Republicans take back Congress, we are going to open up all the investigations. And Merrick Garland, who in the first clip we saw probably had to have known that this raid was going to take place, is going to have to answer for the actions. Now, again, if this is only about 15 boxes of classified documents, Mike Pompeo, I think, hit it on the head, saying, hey, we knew Hillary Clinton had documents in her home and we didn't raid her. So how does this make sense? The answer is, I don't think we know. Now, I want to get to a couple more of these clips. Actually, you know what? Let's go to this. You are not going to believe who CNN brought on their panel, or not even panel, just on their show to talk about the Trump raid. Anybody recognize this guy? If you don't, actually, if you do, let me know in the comment section if you know who he is. And if you do know who he is, join with me in dropping your jaw and saying they brought in who? watch this clip and find out who CNN apparently still trusts with an opinion on their channel. Actually, also, if you haven't already, I see a couple thousand of you watching this. This is a huge story, and I would like for as many people as possible to know everything that's going on from all sides to try and at least have a good sense of what's the deal here. Click the little like button, click the little share button, or the little react button. You don't have to click the share if you don't feel like clicking the share, or you have a lot of liberal friends, whatever. But give us a comment. Let us know what you think is going on here in the FBI. I'm trying to read some of these, but they're going so fast, it's kind of hard to keep track of. But if you wouldn't mind, just engaging with the content in some way, shape, or form, that really, really helps us out in our algorithms. So appreciate you doing that. Anyways, watch this CNN clip in which I titled, "They Brought in Who?" Check it out.
The FBI executing a search warrant at former President Donald Trump's Mar-A-Lago resort. Sources telling CNN this search is part of an investigation into the handling of presidential documents. There are so many unanswered questions here, though. But how does the FBI carrying out an unprecedented search warrant at a former president's residence happen? How does this take place? Let's bring in former FBI Deputy Assistant Director Peter Strzok. He is the author of Compromised, Counterintelligence, and the Threat of Donald J. Trump.
Okay, so I've got his response here, and I'm going to play a little bit of it. But who? They brought in who? Peter Strzok? The guy who was texting his girlfriend in the FBI saying, "There's no way we can allow Donald Trump to take power. We will stop it." Said to Lisa Page in text messages that are public information now. That's the guy you brought on to comment about this? The dude who actively tried to undermine the election within the FBI in 2016? That's the guy? I'm a little animated about this particular clip right here. A lot of people in the comments section, how dare they? This is how I feel. Lana says, OMG LMAO. Yeah, this is almost hilarious if it weren't so horrifying. Yeah, geez, the Peter Strzok being put. Let's listen to a little bit of what should be his title. Pete something. I don't know what his title is, but good old Peter Strzok, the FBI agent who tried to woo his girlfriend by undermining the 2016 election. Let's listen to a little bit of what he has to say, and when I'm fed up with it, I'll stop it.
Peter, we know some things about this, right? We know that there was some coordination ahead of time between the Secret Service and the FBI because there is a small Secret Service presence there. But just walk us through how this would play out in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to overstate the complexity and planning that goes into a search like this. And let's step back from yesterday. CNN reported late last night that in early June of this year, so about 2 months ago, a team of investigators that was led by the head of DOJ.
All right, so he doesn't really say anything noteworthy other than the fact of, like, there's a lot that has to go into this, which I don't think helps the lefty side of the aisle. They're basically saying there's a lot that has to go into this. A lot of people have to know about it. And if it turns out that the only thing that this entire big, long process took with the FBI raiding a former president's house is to obtain 15 boxes of classified information, that's going to be a hard pitch. Now, I am actually curious what the White House did know and what they're actually talking about right now. I think Jack Posobiec, again, friend of the show, was tweeting that the White House staff was freaking out about this, of like saying, we didn't want, this is insane. We don't want this to happen because of how politically damaging it's going to be. I have no idea. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe they have something huge, as comedian Dave Smith said. If they do have something huge, then, I guess people need to see it. But also, let's see, if they don't, they just made a living martyr and a pissed off one. That's what he said. Let me see. Ari Fleischer, political commentator, said, all I can say is the FBI better have the goods. This better be a slam dunk criminal case. Otherwise, the Biden administration and DOJ crossed a line of no return. If they got the goods, announce it. Otherwise, this search for former President Trump's home is a disgrace. I could not agree more there. Let's see. Let's get to, actually, okay, before this, I would like to see in the comment section who you think the most unlikely defender of President Trump is, at least right now. Of all of the people in all of politics and all of political commentary, who was the least likely person you think to see defend President Trump in his, again, FBI raid of his Mar-a-Lago home? Well, I didn't give you a ton of time to guess. Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York, tweeted this: DOJ must immediately explain the reason for its raid, and it must be more than a search for inconsequential archives, or it will be viewed as a political attack and undermine any future credible investigation and legitimacy of the January 6th investigation. Gropey Andrew Cuomo decided to defend President Trump in saying they better have something more than what he calls inconsequential classified information. Inconsequential meaning the political ramifications, the fallout from this, and the damage done to the system is going to be substantially worse than any of those classified documents would have done. I don't want to say if they were released, but what they're basically saying is that the political damage this is going to cause, and the reputational damage to the FBI, not that the FBI had a great reputation to begin with because of people who we just heard from, Peter Strzok, in the beginning. Not that they had a great reputation to begin with, but any shred of confidence the American people had left in them goes out the window if this is just a raid of a former president's home to get some documents back that were inconsequential, in the words of Andrew Cuomo, former governor of New York. There was one tweet that I don't want to start any sort of conspiracy theory here, but a guy named Todd Starnes, not familiar with his act, but that's his name, said it's not what the FBI took out of Mar-a-Lago, it's what they may have planted inside. Whoa. Uh-oh. I'm not going to peddle conspiracy theories here, but interesting take. Let's listen to Maddow. This is Maddow. Okay, so the second clip of this, Maddow has some congresswoman on who says some nonsense. But this is kind of interesting. This is from Maddow. I cut out the whole part where she briefs Senator Schumer on whatever it is that they're talking about. But then ask Senator Schumer, what is your reaction? Listen to what the guy who has been sure on everything says about his assuredness of this. Ooh, it's getting dark. I don't know how to make the light go again. How sure he is about this. Watch this.
I know that you don't want to talk about the substance of the matter at Mar-a-Lago, but I do want to ask your reaction to what Mr. McCarthy has said.
Look, I think none of us know the facts, and any comments are premature.
That's funny because of how. So, sorry, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Let me see if I can get this light back up. Hello, you see me, light. The guy who's been sure of everything. Oh, it's definitely Russian collusion. Oh, it's definitely yada, 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 yada. Now that his party is under fire for what seems to be a completely unnecessary raid of a former president's home, I was like, yeah, well, hold on. The details are yet to unfold. We are going all day today here. This is also Rachel Maddow talking about some nonsense with a congresswoman. Listen to what this congresswoman says. I thought this was freaking fascinating to just show the other side of the aisle and where they are on this particular issue. Watch this.
Let me first just by asking your reaction to this news about the search of the former president's home. And let me ask you if you know anything more about this than we've been able to report yet this evening.
My immediate reaction is, the Trump, in his statement, President Trump said, nothing like this has ever happened before. It truly is unprecedented, but it's unprecedented because this is in reaction to an unprecedented presidency. We have never before, seen a president who sought to overturn election, fake electors, put pressure on the vice president, summon a mob to DC. The list is so long. We don't need to summarize it. I'm sure your viewers are well aware of all of those facts. But, even today, more things. I mean, we see torn up pieces of paper in a toilet. Another reporting of one of his aides saying he had eaten documents. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Milley's comments about the things that happened towards the end of the last administration. So, an unprecedented response is required to these unprecedented actions that, where we need to have accountability.
All right. So that is a sitting Congresswoman saying, well, there are reports that President Trump even ate some documents. How seriously are we supposed to take this? Because according to that, not seriously at all. There's some reports that the president ate documents because for some reason he can't afford a paper shredder and therefore resorts to consumption of sensitive material. All right. Let me see. So basically, that's what you're going to get. When you're looking at this whole thing, obviously we're going to be reporting on this as more and more information comes out. Hopefully the FBI makes a statement today that clears some stuff up. I can't imagine if it's not something of, hey, we found this big explosive thing. I can't imagine that this is going to simmer down at all. I would only imagine it's going to get more and more heightened, especially considering that what it seems like is they're only after a couple classified documents, which again, Mike Pompeo said the FBI, or what was he a part of at the time? He said, executing, I served on the Benghazi Commission. That's right. And they proved that Hillary Clinton had classified documents and did not raid their home. So if the FBI comes with anything less of something massive, it's going to be a big problem going forward. Not really sure why the camera's adjusting to the light this way, but, is what it is. On the other side of the aisle, Democrats are going to say these documents are very important and definitely necessitate a raid on a former president's home. That's going to be the argument that you see pretty much everywhere. Again, a lot of your mainstream media on the right side of the aisle is still just mad, which is fine. Go ahead, be mad and upset about it because it does seem crazy. And the left side of the aisle is going to say it's completely justified because President Trump has apparently some classified documents. I'm going to err on the side of let's wait and see what happens because nobody's quite sure what's going on. And hopefully the FBI comes out today and clears some stuff up. That being said, that's going to do it for us today. That's the only thing we talked about. If you tuned in this morning, just super excited to hear about Solyndra and the Obama scandal with the green energy nonsense. Maybe we'll get to that later. That bill is expected to pass the House this week and then go to President Biden's desk. Maybe we'll do the Solyndra story then. Wasn't expecting the FBI to raid President Trump's home. So that's why we took all of the show today talking about that. As the light continues to get darker, I was like is somebody playing a joke on me in here? But that's going to do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. Again, if you haven't already, would really appreciate you clicking the little like button, the little share button. Also, if you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB. You'll be able to find me on Instagram, Twitter, Gitter, YouTube, Truth Social, all of the ones, all of the social medias. You'll be just type in JOBOB. If it's a brown, dashingly handsome young man, it's probably me. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, different place. We're in Phoenix today, shooting a really interesting. Actually, you probably, if you paid really close attention to who's in the little corner, we've got a little spoiler alert who's coming on one of the TPUSA shows that we're doing later on today. So, I don't know, tune into that if you'd like. Let's see, anything else? Nope. All of this that unfolds, I'm assuming the FBI is going to say something today, or the White House is going to say something. Somebody is going to say something today, and whatever that something is that someone says is going to be brought to you tomorrow here on Daily Caller Live. We will see you then. Again, same time, different place. Adios. God bless America.